Welcome to Guelph Fight Wrestler. I'm Andrew Sennedra, and this is Mr. Minty Head, Captain Witchfingers. And today we're doing something a little different because we missed All In and All Out due to a bunch of different circumstances. But we didn't really miss too much, considering when we watched All In, we weren't really into it. We weren't really invested in too much of it. So it's not like we could have really done a video on it. All Out, I think we both felt was not just better, but like significantly better in storylines and matches, and just overall there was a lot much better. Like All In, I only had a few matches I was kind of interested in. There was the four-way ladder match that was pretty wild. There was lots of different stuff going on there for because you had the House of Black in there, so at least you had a good team like that in there. And the Casino Gauntlet match was interesting, and how that ended with Christian Cage winning. And how that was go forward, especially since Luchasaurus came out and was kind of we weren't sure if he was going to screw over Christian or help him, which he ended up doing, and everybody was sad by that.
Yeah, some of those moments were kind of funny. He was like Luchasaurus like climbing up. He's like, "You get down." Christian Cage's gonna climb him up slowly, or he's like carrying him up. He's like half dead.
Yeah, so there's a few matches. I was really looking forward to Jack Perry and Darby, which was strange that it was only like 12 minutes.
Yeah. Really
so
short.
I was like, it was kind of a short match, which it was one of the more matches I was interested in, and one of the better matches for sure at All In. A lot of the other stuff we just weren't really invested in. I could have cared less about Danielson and Swerve. Together, apart, they seem to do better with other individuals like Swerve. Clearly had a far better match with Hangman Page. There was so much more to that match. Hangman going insane, burning his house down, which I thought was just desserts, isn't it? Isn't that just everyone's like, poor Swerve, and you're like, this is the guy who went in and threatened his child into his house, you jackass. The one who's stalking his family outside of his house, and everyone's like, poor Swerve. I'm like, what the hell is this crap? So there was so much more going into that. I know there was a bunch of like sissy little bitches like Jonathan Coachman. I saw who was one of the guys that was like, "This is just disgusting," putting the syringe through his mouth, and it's just like, oh, there's kids in the crowd. It's like then don't bring them to this.
Yeah, that's why they did it unsanctioned, and right off the bat they're trying to kill each other. They're like putting their heads there as the cage like lowering down. I'm gonna decapitate you, kind of thing, man. Like this is to death, man. This is
that's what I mean. Like going into it, we knew that it was probably going to be pretty rough.
Yeah.
Like and Swerve. We've seen what him and Hangman have done in the past already, with like choking him with chains and staples. Like we've seen all this. You know what's coming. So if that's something that bothers you, or you might bother your kids, piss off. Turn around, walk out the door.
like coming in, you knew it was going to be like a hard match. Like you said, these two, they had some like hard and heated rivalries. And like you said, Hangman's like gone nuts, right? And he wants to kill him, and these two like really hate each other, right? And you're stuck in a steel cage. So like shit's gonna go down.
Yeah, like
don't burn your kids.
Yeah, burning the goddamn house down. Like, come on. There was just so many brutal moments. The cinder block. I thought it was gonna break, but they didn't break it.
Yeah, that's what I was like.
They just hurt each other's backs.
Not really hurt.
But yeah, like I was saying, his Swerve's match was significantly better with Hangman. That storyline had been brooding for like a year, so there was just so much interest that you could get invested into that match. The Young Bucks obviously had matches on both cards. I thought the Young Bucks had a much better match with Claudio and Wheeler, which I've found Claudio's been building up. He's been getting better and better. That match was much better, I felt, for sure. Ospreay and MJF both had matches on both cards. MJF almost kind of sucked the life out of Ospreay's match at All In. I thought it's like Ospreay's usually doing all of his exciting aerial high-paced stuff, and MJF's like, I'm gonna slow it down to all this garbage. It's like, who fucking cares about a goddamn headlock I've seen 1,800 times? I've seen them since the 80s, so that's the difference. But Osprey, significantly better match with Pac. Really cool to kind of see them go one-on-one finally after so many years, especially the kind of differences between age gaps and like who started, and pulling off the same moves, both doing like what was it, Phoenix splashes, up in the air. So stuff like that was more interesting. I thought Osprey had significantly better match. MJF had crap matches both cards anyway.
Yeah, I was really excited for like the Pac and Osprey match because I'm like, these two guys, they can go, right? And they actually got some time to go. I thought that match was like pretty wicked, They're both going back and forth. They're both like getting dropped on their necks and their back of their heads, kind of. They're like killing each other. And it was like high action pace, They're both like going at each other, crashing like at like high speeds, Really good.
Like, and that's what made it significantly better and more entertaining. But like, Osprey doesn't even have to do all that all the time. I've seen him in meat and potatoes matches in New Japan, so it's just how MJF slows everything to a crawl and then repeats it so much, like thumbs someone in the eyes and then he sticks his arms. It's like it's just so repetitive, so done. So
Ric Flair-esque.
Yeah, let's move on. Another match off of All Out that was really good, I thought, was Okada versus Mark Briscoe versus Orange Cassidy versus Takeshita. We got to see a lot of different nuances from so many guys doing different stuff. Like, they all have their own styles. Even though Okada and Takeshita are Japanese and have that strong style, they both have their varying differences. So it was interesting to see those two kind of meet in the ring in there, and then throw in Briscoe and Orange Cassidy as well.
Yeah, that was a really fun match. I enjoyed that. I like that funny moment where they're like suplexing each other, and then Orange Cassidy tries to go in and get his suplex in, but they keep like suplexing him because he's like too small, he's like too weak, He's like his back is like hurting.
Yeah, I really like I like the rivalry that kind of built between Okada and Takeshita, though. I like what's going on between those two. I think Takeshita needs to rise up or bloody well go to Japan, because the G1 Climax was out of this world.
Yeah.
It was phenomenal, especially for a first time appearance into the G1.
I want to see more Takeshita because, like, that guy had phenomenal G1. He's coming back. He's having some really good AEW matches. Keep this guy on the card.
Yeah, really keep him going. And even the women's matches, Willow versus Chris Statlander was pretty, badass. Willow tried to roll out of the way off the table, and she still eats a fucking leg to the head. I was like, oh man. I was like, oh, that was a ring, dude. I was like, she's trying to get out of the way. Oh damn it, I fucking still ate some feet to the head when Statlander dove off. But that was even a better match. A lot of the male matches on All In. So going back to our point, we're kind of comparing All In to All Out, because All In's supposed to be this mega card that everyone's excited, and we're both All Ins. We've been and this last one, I would say it might have been AEW's worst pay-per-view in my opinion. Whereas Tony Khan was like, it's one of our best, and I was like, stop pretending, unless he's deluded. But anyways, we just thought all that was much better, and it seems like AEW is heading in a trajectory that we like. That's kind of going back to the beginning of what we enjoyed from AEW in the early days, with really characters you can be invested in, storylines, exciting matches, a lot of different stuff. I still think there's some predictability when it comes to like who's going to win the matches, but there's just a different pacing, excitement, layers of intrigue. One of those layers of intrigue is Moxley. He's bringing a lot of grit, a lot of mystery and stuff like that to what's going on with his suffocation of Danielson. He's like, I'm gonna kill this fucking guy, you stupid bitch. Like, what happened to you? You used to be hardcore tough dude. He's like, now you're pissing and moaning. I don't know if I can win. I was like, Mox is turning it up a notch.
I totally first saw that turn, but I still love it. Like I like the new direction he's going. He's like all badass. You don't quite know what he's gonna do. He's going a little bit crazy. He's running around with hammers, like trying to kill people. You don't mess with Mox, man. This guy's serious business.
Yeah, and I think it's helped Claudio's character as well. Yeah. He's more. He's adding new moves like that chokeslam backbreaker. But like you said, you saw it coming. I noticed that way back when Claudio walked out of the ring in the tag match he had with Danielson, like months ago. There was this time where Claudio walks out. Mox was already gone.
Yeah.
This was a couple of months ago, and Claudio just kind of walks away, and I was like, well, that was weird. Because Danielson goes on the mic, and I was kind of strange. I was like, I thought something seemed up there. It seemed like
Yeah.
there was this separation between Claudio and Danielson at the time, which turns out that it was, you know, Moxley as well, right? So dropping little hints and seeds in there is always kind of intriguing, kind of like something like Kenny does in his long-term storylines.
Yeah, I find it's also like Danielson split to BCC, but he's usually doing his own thing, right? Like
Yeah.
BCC does something, Danielson does something else.
Yeah.
So it's not too like surprising that they, you know, eventually, you know, go their separate
Yeah.
ways kind of thing.
But yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm glad, you know, Moxley is fed up with the gimmicky garbage
Yeah.
of like AEW that's going around, like Top Flight being in pilots uniforms, you know, and the Outrunners and these two
Hogan's.
yeah, these two Hogans and these other guys who pose in the ring and stop in the middle, like. You know, some of this kind of lame-ass shit and stupid, goofy segments in the back. I'm really hoping Mox is like, screw this, we're going to turn it back. We're going to hit hard and do some serious stuff. But it definitely seems like Dynamite lately has been on on a nice trajectory. Ospreay, Fletcher just had some really good matches together. Takeshita, the guys are able to turn it up a notch. Ricochet coming in and having some really good matches has been kind of like a throwback to the beginning of AEW. Even his recent match, Ricochet versus Beast Mortos, was more of a throwback to like Lucha Underground.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
that back and forth that they had, especially since Beast Mortos is very Lucha Underground-esque looking.
Yeah.
So yeah, AEW going on a better trajectory, and it looks like the couple of weeks leading up to Wrestle Dream are going to be pretty interesting as well. So we're very hopeful for that. Let us know what you think of AEW and the direction it's going right now, and All In and All Out. Let us know down in the comments, you know, what you think of that, and if we're totally wrong and you're against what we say entirely, and you know, wish we would, you know, fly to the moon. Anyways, until next time, folks, have some heavy wrestling.